Hi students, welcome to your next yoga practice. Go ahead and find your way to a comfortable seated position, somewhere where you can find some length through your spine. I'm sitting on my folded blanket, but you might like to sit flat or sit up a little bit higher to try and get your hips above your knees. We're going to start this practice with two new pranayama forms, Shatali and Shitkari. And we're learning these two forms together because they are very similar and they are both cooling breath practices. So these would be great things to do at any point when you find that you are overheated, whether that's from activity or just because it's hot wherever you are. So Shatali first, you're going to curl your tongue, and through that shape, you're going to inhale. Now, if you can't curl your tongue, don't worry about it. You'll do the other breath practice, which I'll introduce in just a moment. It's not something you need to try and work on, just the way the muscles of the tongue are. Some people can curl their tongue really easily and others just can't. So it's not something you need to be able to work to try and do because it won't really happen that way. So you're going to inhale through that curled tongue. Then pull your tongue in, close your lips, and exhale through your nose. So that is Shatali. Shitkari is done in a very similar way, except you'll have your teeth closed but your lips open. Push the tip of your tongue up against the back of your top teeth and inhale through that shape. Close your lips, exhale through your nose. So with whichever one you try, you'll notice there's a sound that's going to happen on the inhale. We're not trying to emphasize that sound, just let it be whatever it is. And we're going to do a few rounds of these. Pick either Shatali or Shitkari, or if you can do both, then you can alternate between the two if you would like to. But let's just take 5 rounds of that together. You're welcome to close your eyes here. Give your hands somewhere to rest, maybe on the thighs or knees or folded in the lap. Exhale your air. And then breathing in Shatali or Shitkari. And then return to breathing normally. So hopefully at least your mouth feels a little bit cooler right now. You're probably not in a super warm place doing this practice, but the next time you find yourself, maybe it's 95 degrees, you're outside, you're really hot, try a few rounds of one of these breath practices and see how that helps you to cool off a little bit. You feel that moisture from your mouth evaporating away. That's what's giving it that cooling effect. So we're not going to do that breath practice within our asana practice today, but I just wanted to introduce it so you have a new pranayama form to hold on to for those times where you need it or to incorporate into your own home practice that you will start to work on next week. So moving forward to our asana practice, this practice is focused on twisting. We'll be doing things that aren't twists also, but a main focus is to learn some new twists. So it's a good reminder that in your spine, most of your rotation actually comes from the thoracic spine or the upper back area. Sometimes we feel like it's really our belly twisting us, but that's a good thing to remind ourselves is that most of your rotation is coming from higher than that, and that's where you want to feel where your limitation is. So resist the urge to use your arms to try and pull yourself into a deeper twist, or to try and use the belly to crank yourself deeper into a twist. Your head can stay exactly on your spine, or Because our neck also has a lot of rotation, you're welcome to rotate it a little bit farther in your twists, but that is totally up to you. Our main goal is to get rotation through the torso. And so twisting is often said to wring the toxins out of the body. That's not exactly how it works. Your organs, your liver, your kidneys already work to remove any toxins from the body, but twisting does massage all your internal organs in the torso, and so it just encourages them to work a little more effectively or efficiently. So there's an idea of truth in that, even if it's not exactly accurate, that doing a twist is going to wring the toxins out of the body. It does encourage those organs to work a little bit better, and they like it, just like you might like to get a massage. That twisting through the torso gives that little massage to our organs, and they appreciate that as well. So beginning in our asana practice, find that tall spine again if you've started to slouch. Maybe if the legs are crossed, take this opportunity to switch the cross of the legs, and either close the eyes or take an easy gaze. Start to focus in on your breath, working your way towards Samavriti, even breath. The length of the inhale matches the length of the exhale. And as an intention for today's practice, I'll ask you to think about the niyama shaucha. Shaucha means purity. And so this niyama reminds us to try to cultivate and maintain purity of body, of mind, of spirit. And so think about all the ways that you can achieve that through your life. Of course, affecting our body and whether it can be pure is what we're putting into the body. So thinking about what foods, what drinks you're taking in, if there are other substances, drugs coming into the body, what is helping you and what isn't helping you. For example, you might say, well, drugs are bad, I shouldn't be putting drugs into my body, but you might have prescription drugs that are actually doing very good things for your body. So you should continue doing those good things. In the same way, foods and drinks don't just firmly go in one category. Maybe we can all agree that a piece of cake might not be the best thing to fuel us, but it doesn't mean that you can't ever have that piece of cake. But maybe you don't have it every day or at every meal, or you don't have, the whole cake, you just have a slice. So remembering that all of our yamas and niyamas are not all or nothing. There are lots of ways and levels to take this. Maybe it means as you progress through your day where you normally have that second or third soda, instead you switch it up to water, thinking about, well, this is going to make a little bit better of a choice for the purity of my body. Beyond the physical, thinking about shaucha in terms of pure thoughts. What types of thoughts do you allow to resonate in your mind? And it doesn't mean a thought that just passes through. We all have those moments where we pass through frustration and anger, maybe even leaning towards hate. But do you let those thoughts linger? Or do you let them pass by and turn your mind back to more thoughts of kindness, of compassion? And so as we start to make our way through the physical part of our practice, keep that in mind, being kind to your body, knowing that this asana practice, especially a twisting one, is going to help to purify the physical body. But also be kind, have those pure thoughts in your mind. Not judging yourself for thinking, oh, I'm not deep enough in this twist or in this asana where I should be. But instead just letting this be an exploration of where you are in this moment. Breathing in. And breathing out. And take one more breath. Starting to transition to Ujjayi breath. Blinking the eyes open or raising the gaze, continuing Ujjayi or even breath. And then take your legs, have the knees bent, and point both your knees to one side. If you're facing me, maybe pointing to the right side is going to be a little bit easier to mirror for right now. And it's okay if you lose that left sit bone up off your blanket or your mat. You're just in a little bit of a sideways lean here. Inhale, sit up as tall as you can, and then rotate the same way your knees are pointing on your exhale. So this is an easy sitting twist. Each time you inhale, grow a little taller. Maybe you can rotate a little more in your exhale, but remembering not to use your arms to pull into that rotation. One more breath here. As you inhale, come back through center, and then exhale, take a counter twist just a little bit in the other direction, just for one breath. Coming back to center, point the knees in the opposite direction. Inhale to sit up tall, and then on your exhale, rotate the same direction as your knees. Easy sitting twist. Take a breath in. Maybe you can rotate a little more. Next time you inhale, come back through center, and then exhale, counter twist in the opposite direction for one breath. Coming back through center, make your way to table, hands and knees. Once you're in table, move through a few rounds of cow and cat on your own. Inhaling, letting the spine arch in cow. And exhale, spine curls in cat. Take that twice more, inhaling and exhaling. And one more time. Coming back to neutral, reach the left arm up and thread that left arm behind the right. You're gonna reach your fingers towards the side, palm is up, and gently land the shoulder in, thread the needle. You can stay exactly as you are, or maybe that right arm reaches up and around your low back. 2 breaths. Bringing the hand back down to the mat if you lifted it. Press into that right hand, lift the left, and then come back to table. Switching sides, right arm reaches up, threads behind the left, gently land your shoulder. And you can stay here, or maybe that left arm reaches up and around your low back. But that's up to you. If you feel weight coming down into the head or neck, just replace your left hand back on the mat to help support you. Hand comes back down if you lifted it. Press into the left hand, reach the right arm up, and then land back in table. Walk your hands forward, lower down to your belly. Inhale to cobra. Exhale to lower. Now move your hands wide off your mat. Elbows are up. Pull the shoulders down towards your waist. Inhale, wide cobra. And then drop your left shoulder towards the mat in a twist. Inhale back up. And then drop the right shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, back to your mat. Hands come under your shoulders. Press to plank. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Sit bones reaching high, head relaxes, and take a breath or two to pedal through the feet or do any movement here that's going to help you find your downward facing dog fully. One more breath here. Inhale, come forward to plank. Lower knees, chest, chin towards your mat, Ashtangasana. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Walk your hands just a couple inches closer to your feet. And then reach your left hand towards the outside of your right ankle or calf or thigh, wherever you can reach. And then rotate your chest towards the right side of your mat. Come back to center. Switching sides. Right hand reaches outside of the left leg, rotating your chest towards the side of your mat. Coming back to center. One more breath here. And then walk your feet to your hands. Forward fold at the top of your mat. Bend your knees. Roll your way up to standing. Standing tall, Tadasana. Reach your arms overhead, interlace the fingers. Reach up and over to one side. Come back center. Reach to the other. Back to center. Open the arms, dive your chest forward, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, finding your long spine, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold, walk back to plank. Inhale here. On your exhale, lower Chaturanga Dandasana towards your mat. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One breath in. At the end of your exhale, step or hop, feet to hands. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Reverse swan dive all the way up. And exhale. So we're gonna add something new into our sun salutation flow for today. So you have the option to jump forward from downward facing dog. We learned that a few weeks ago. So now you're gonna have the option to jump back as well, or instead of, either way you wanna work it. So you're jumping back to Chaturanga Dandasana straight away. So the reason why we're jumping there instead of to plank is because in Chaturanga, your arms are already bent. There's something to absorb the impact from landing out of that jump. If you were to jump straight back to plank with legs and arms straight, there's not really anything to absorb the impact unless you have a lot of mobility through the ankle and you're actually sending your weight back to the heel when you land, which most of us aren't really doing. So usually what absorbs the impact of that landing is your spine, which is not the healthiest thing to be doing for the spine, to give it all that impact of jumping. So if you choose to jump, you have to bend your arms before your feet land, jump straight to chaturanga, not to plank. So that also means if your chaturanga is not strong, you're not going to want to jump into it. In that case, you'll just continue to step back to plank and then exhale to lower as we've been doing. But go right away, don't pause in plank. That way you'll stay more in sequence with what I'm cueing for those who do choose to jump. So let me show you what I mean and then I'll cue you through it. So you're starting in Tadasana as usual. Inhale, reach the arms up. On your exhale, forward fold. Come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Now on your exhale, plant your hands, jump back, arms bend before your feet hit chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Then from here, it'll be just as usual. You can step, you can hop your feet forward. We'll come through our flat back and fold, and then come all the way back up to standing. All right, so let's try it together. You're welcome to jump or just step back to plank and then lower chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, whatever your choice is. Top of your mat, Tadasana. Take a breath in and let that breath go. Arms reach up on your inhale. On your exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hop to chaturanga or step to plank and then lower. Inhale, lift the heart, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Let it go. Next, inhale, the left leg reaches up, three-legged dog. Step forward to your lunge. Keep the back heel lifted, rise up to high lunge. So that back heel's lifted, the back leg is parallel. Right thigh is reaching up to help support you. Reach the arms up on your inhale. Then take right hand to left thigh, left arm opens you into an open twist. Relax that shoulder away from your ear. Take a breath in. Exhale. One more. Inhale back to center, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Gently lower your back knee. Now you can always take your blanket under that knee if you'd like a little extra cushion. Bring your hands to your left thigh, low lunge. Relax the shoulders. Take your hands to your heart, inhale. On your exhale, rotate and maybe hook the elbow outside the left knee. Take your left elbow high now. And then press your hands towards your bottom shoulder, helping to pull the belly away from the thigh. If this feels like too deep of a twist, you can go back to this open twist where we just were. From wherever you are, tuck your back toes under. Lift that right knee. High lunge with a prayer twist. Your drishti is actually going to be up beyond that left elbow. One more breath. Unwind, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Breath in. Breath out. Right leg reaches up, three-legged dog. Step forward to your lunge. Inhale, torso lifts, high lunge. One breath to settle here. Left thigh reaching up. Next time you exhale, left hand to right thigh, right arm opens you into an open twist. Breath in, breath out. Unwind back to center. Exhale, hands to mat. Gently lower the back knee. Bring your hands to your right thigh, low lunge. Hips are reaching forward, so you feel a stretch on the front of that left quad and left hip. Hands to heart on your next inhale. Exhale, rotate to the right, maybe hook the elbow. Right elbow comes high, belly pulls away from the right thigh, hands press down towards your left shoulder. Tuck your back toes under. Lift that left knee. High lunge with a prayer twist. Next inhale, you unwind, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back, downward facing dog. One breath in. At the end of your exhale, step or hop, feet to hands. Inhale brings you up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold. Top of the head leads you all the way up. And open the arms. Exhale. One breath in. One breath out. Take a step back on your mat. Actually, if there's not something really close in front of you, you don't have to do that. But sometimes we're really close to our screens, and this will give you a little more forward room. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Lift the right knee. Pull the belly in, shoulders over hips. Hands are on your hips for right now. Now take that right leg behind you, just an inch or two. Feel the heel reaching back. Notice if that right hip started to open. Pull it back square. And then try to feel a straight line from head to heel and start to pitch your torso forward as your leg lifts. A tiny bend in that left knee. You're reaching towards warrior three. And I like to have my hands on my hips just so I can notice if I start to open here, I can pull that right hip back down. You're welcome to stay here, or you could bring your hands to your heart, or you could reach them overhead, or even out. More important to keep that straight line, so we don't want to drop our torso low if our leg is low here. Find that long line, even if you're diagonal. This is better than to bend over. Warrior three, one more full breath. Inhale to rise up. Put the right foot down, both feet are together. Hands come to your heart, inhale. Exhale to bend your knees. Sink your weight back into your heels, chair. Take another breath. And then on your exhale, rotate to your left, hooking the elbow outside the knee, maybe. So just like that prayer twist we were just in, pull the belly away from the thigh. Make sure that opposite knee hasn't moved forward. Pull it back in line. Sink your hips a little lower. Maybe the arms reach open here. One more breath. Unwind, everything reaches up. exhale, Tadasana. Hands come back to your hips. Now shift your weight into your right foot. Lift the left knee to start. Let this be the test of your balance. And then take that left leg a little behind you. Tiny bend in the right knee. Finding a long line, head to heel. And then starting to tilt any amount forward towards your warrior three. Making sure you're not opening that left hip as you go. Think about the inside of your left thigh kind of rotating up. Any arm position you would like. For your last 2 breaths. Inhale, rise back up. Both feet come down together. Hands to heart. Bend your knees. Sink your weight back into your heels. Chair. Inhale. Now on your exhale, twist to your right. Opposite side of what you just did. Elbow is high. Knees are even, weight is in your heels. Maybe the arms open. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, Tadasana. Close the eyes for 2 breaths. Notice if you started to hold your breath a little bit during any of that. Bring it back to that even, either Ujjayi or Samavriti, even breath. And then blinking the eyes open, make your way back to the top of your mat. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Feel Uddiyana Bandha, low belly pulling in and up. Next time you inhale, arms reach up. On your exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Your choice, step to plank and lower or hop to Chaturanga. On your inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Full breath in. Full breath out. Left leg reaches up, 3-legged dog. Step forward to your lunge. And inhale to warrior 1. So that right heel rotates down, right leg is on the diagonal, left knee bends, hips point forward and arms reach up. Full breath here. Now reach for a block. If you have to move out of this leg position, that's okay. Just come back to it once you have your block. And then once you have that, straighten your front leg. And notice if your hips started to point off to the side, pull them back forward. If you feel like you can't with your legs as wide as they are, maybe step your right foot a little more forward or maybe a little more off to the side so hips can come forward. That left quad is doing some work to help pull that left knee a little bit up. Now take your block in your right hand. On an inhale, you're going to fold and bring your block to the mat. And then on an exhale, your left arm is going to open you into a twist. So this is revolved triangle. Notice that the leg position is not the same as triangle, but it's the same as pyramid. Now, if it feels like that top shoulder is kind of doing something weird, bring your hand to your hip and just concentrate on opening the shoulder rather than the arm. Your gaze is going to be up towards the ceiling unless that bothers your neck, in which case you could look sideways or even down at that right hand. Now, if your right hand won't reach your block to the floor, just let it drop. Bring that hand to your left thigh and rotate from here. One more breath where you are. This is Parivrita Trikonasana, revolved triangle. Next time you exhale, lower the left hand. Now you're going to take your block, bring it a little more in front of the left foot, bend that left knee, and lift your right heel as you do that. Take your left hand to your hip for now, and then start to lift that back leg, shifting all your weight into the left. So you're similar to that warrior 3 shape where we just were, and maybe you stay here, or start to rotate in that same direction, left shoulder opening, maybe the left arm opens, for revolved half moon. Take a breath. Let it go. The next time you exhale, the left hand comes down, the right foot meets the left, forward fold. Full breath here. Let that breath go. Now your choice of ways go to downward facing dog. So you could step to plank or hop to chaturanga and flow through, or you could just step or hop directly to downward facing dog. Notice what your body needs in this moment. Next time you inhale in downward facing dog, lift the right leg. And then step forward to your lunge. Inhale to warrior 1. Left heel rotates down, right knee bends, arms reach up. Full breath here, hips pointing forward. Now reach for a block. Pick it up in your left hand as you straighten the right leg. Maybe step that left foot a little forward or a little off to the left side so that your hips can face forward. Block is in the left hand. On an inhale, fold, reaching that block towards the floor. Keep pulling the right hip back. On an exhale, open the right shoulder. Maybe the right arm reaches up as well. Three full breaths here in revolved triangle. Keep pulling the right hip back as the left hip reaches forward. And so hopefully you're in your twist and you're not really watching, paying attention to me, but you might notice in some of these twists, I don't really stay in the full posture, because as you might notice, it can be pretty difficult to talk while you're in a deep twist. And so I don't want to sacrifice my breath to try and talk to you and do the twist. So sometimes I come out a bit so that I can keep giving you some instructions. Next, exhale, bring that right hand back down. Bend the right knee slightly, move your block forward, lift the left heel. Start to shift more weight into the right leg, lift the left, and you're in that supported warrior 3. And maybe this is good enough for you. You stay here. Or on an exhale, rotate the right shoulder open again. Maybe the right arm reaches up for revolved half moon. This is a pretty challenging balance and twist. So be okay if you need to stay in more of the supported warrior 3 variation. One more inhale. On your exhale, bring your right hand down. Bring your left foot to meet the right. Forward fold. Breath in. Breath out. Reverse swan dive all the way back up. And open your arms. Tadasana. Take a breath in. And let that breath go. Now step your feet out really wide. So you can turn sideways on your mat like I'm doing, or if your floor isn't really slippery, you might just step off your mat. Either way. Feet are going to be definitely wider than your hips. Start with your feet parallel, pointing straight ahead, and then pull your heels in slightly. Bend your knees. Make sure knees are pointing on the same diagonal as your toes. Pull your chest up, pull your belly in. Press the hands up, goddess. Breathing in. Breathing out. Next time you inhale, straighten the legs and the arms, turn the feet back parallel, and then on your exhale, forward fold, hands reach to the floor or to your blocks. Let the head fall heavy. Shift your weight a little more into the balls of your feet so you're not reaching your hips back behind your ankles, they're trying to stay level. Bring your left hand right under your chest and then lengthen through the spine on your inhale. Exhale, right arm opens you into a twist. And try to keep your hips level here. So you're resisting the urge of pushing one hip off to the side. Next time you exhale, right hand returns down. Now it comes under your chest. Lengthen. Exhale, twist, opposite side. And lower, coming back to your forward fold. One more full breath. Bring hands to your hips. Inhale, the torso lifts. Pull the heels back in. Bend the knees again. Goddess pose. One breath. Inhale to rise up. Bring your feet back together, turning back to face the short edge of your mat. Tadasana. Breath in. Breath out. Next time you inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Hop to Chaturanga or step to plank and flow through. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Gently lower your knees to the mat. Untuck your toes, big toes together. Sit back on your heels, child's pose. Forehead to mat. Walk your fingers off the left side of your mat, coming into a side bend. And then walking fingers back through center and off to the right. And walking back to the center, a couple more breaths here in child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Start to walk your hands under your shoulders. Press your way up to sitting. Come off of your heels. Bring your feet around in front of you. And then you're going to stay seated, so you might want your folded blanket to sit up on for some of these seated stretches. I'm going to turn sideways, but you can stay facing the screen in the front edge of your mat. So legs are going to come out in front of you. Make sure you're sitting where you can find that tall spine. Take the front of your hip bones and rock a little bit forward. And then take your left foot, step it in near your hips, but make sure you don't bring it in so far that you have to curl the spine backwards. Sit up nice and tall. The ball of the right foot is reaching forward to keep that leg active. So you're not pointing, but you're also not flexing back. You're reaching out through the leg. The toes are trying to spread wide. I've given some of you feedback in your logs about whether feet should be pointed or flexed in our yoga practice, and usually you want this somewhere in between. Some folks like to call it a flointed foot, which is just a made-up word in between flex and point. But really you're finding that active reach out and toes are trying to be wide. So inhale nice and tall, take your left hand behind you, press into those fingers to make sure you're sitting up tall and you're not starting to lean back. And then on your exhale, rotate towards that bent knee. You can either hook the elbow outside the knee, or if you feel like that is cranking you into too deep of a twist, just hug the knee in towards your chest. This is a seated sage twist. Don't forget about that straight leg, reaching through it. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, maybe you twist a little more. And take one more. And now as you unwind, just take a short counter twist, twisting in the opposite direction. And then come back to center. Now keeping this same leg bent, we're gonna come into a fold with an optional bind for the arms. So you might want your strap or whatever you're using as your strap handy. And I'm gonna start with the strap, just sort of looping it around on my mat behind me. So it's sort of forming a U around me, and that's just so it'll be ready for me to pick it up if I want it. Then try to fold a little forward, let your knee come a little bit out to the side, and you're folding towards that straight leg. This is gonna be a little bit tricky to try and figure out, but hopefully you can see well enough from how you're watching. So I am to the inside of that bent left leg, reaching forward. My left arm is coming in front of my shin, but then trying to loop around. And this is where you might pick up your strap. Then my right arm is coming around my back, and I'm either grabbing fingers, so my two hands can grab fingers here, or strap, and then walk your hands as close together as you can get them. Then notice if you contorted yourself in a weird way to try and do that, try and lengthen the chest back forward and fold towards that straight leg knee. Breathing in, breathing out. Now this can be a really challenging fold and twist. So if trying to get, or not a twist, fold and bind with the arms. So if you're having trouble with the arms and it just doesn't make sense to you, you can let that go and you can just work on the fold. You can even drop this knee out to the side and come back to Janu Shirshasana, head to knee, which we've done previously. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then inhale, release your bind if you have it. Bring the chest up, straighten that leg long. Take a minute to shake them out before we move to the other side of both of those. Right foot will step in. Now this can also be done with the leg crossing over. I'm just choosing to do it this way to get us ready for that bind later. Sit up tall. Right hand comes behind you. Push into that hand. So if you're sitting up on something high and your fingers don't reach the floor, you can always take a block under your hand to make sure you can really push away so that you don't start leaning back. Ball of the left foot reaches forward. Inhale tall, and then on your exhale, rotate towards that bent knee, either hugging the knee towards you or maybe hooking the elbow for a deeper twist. Seated sage twist. Breath in, breath out. The next time you exhale, unwind, take a counter twist. And then come back to center. Strap is looped in that U around you if you think you might want to use it. Let the knee open a little bit out to the side. Try to rock your hips forward and fold on the inside of that bent leg towards your straight left leg. If you're going for the bind, your right arm reaches in front of your leg and then reaches around behind you, maybe picking up your strap. Your left arm reaches around the low back, maybe grabbing fingers or maybe grabbing strap, and then try to bring your chest closer to that left shin or knee. Breathing in. Breathing out. Take one more breath. Releasing your bind, inhaling your chest back up. Lengthen the right leg long. Move your strap off to your side if you are using it. And if you're sitting on a blanket or a bolster, go ahead and come off and sit in about the middle of your mat. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the mat in front of you. Bring your hands to your heart. Start to hinge back, just till you feel the abs start to engage. And you can stay right here. You can lift the toes for a little more core activation. You can lift the feet for your full boat pose, Navasana, legs bent or straight. And then from wherever you are, on your next exhale, twist to your left. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, center. And right. Take that once more to each direction. Come back to center. Lower your feet if you lifted them. Reach the arms forward and roll all the way down to your back. I'm going to turn around so that you can see your bridge a little more clearly if you want a little more visual for it. So once you land on your mat, pull your feet a little closer into your hips.
So we're coming into full bridge today. Arms are long by your sides. On an inhale, you're going to press into your feet and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Then you're going to pull one shoulder at a time underneath you. Interlace the fingers if you can. Press them down towards the mat. So I'm trying to get my weight on my triceps and off the middle of my back. Chest is reaching up towards the ceiling. Inner thighs are active, so imagine your block is in between your knees. And then chin lifts away from the chest, so there's space between the back of the neck and the floor. 3 full breaths here in bridge. Release your shoulders out from underneath you, and then lower your hips down to the mat. Take a breath in. Let that breath go. Hug your left knee into your chest. Let the right leg lengthen long on the mat. Now bring that left knee across the body, letting the hip lift and pull yourself into a twist. The left arm is going to lengthen out long on the mat. Your gaze can stay at the ceiling, or you might even turn to look towards that left hand. If you would like for this to be a little deeper, your bottom leg, you're going to bend and reach that right foot towards the left hand. One more breath. And then releasing everything, coming back to center. Hugging both knees in. Rock a little side to side. And then keep the right knee in. Extend the left leg long. Bring the knee across the body. Pulling yourself into a twist. Letting the right arm open. And the bottom leg can stay straight, or it can start to bend. And then you're going to reach your right hand towards that left foot. Now, if you can't reach the foot, that's okay. Just keep it out. Breath in. Breath out. One more. Exhale, release any holds. Come back to center, both knees in. Rock a little side to side one more time. And then next time you exhale, releasing legs and arms long, or coming into whatever Shavasana shape feels the most restful to you today. So remember, you can take your bolster under your knees if you would like, or maybe grab your blanket and make that little neck roll to give some cushion for the back of the head and to support the curve of the cervical spine. But remember, you don't want to put something really tall like your bolster under your head, because that's going to push your head too far forward and shorten the neck. If you want a little cushion, just use something flatter, like your blanket. Letting the body rest in Shavasana. With each exhale, get a little heavier. Notice some other muscle that might still be holding on to some activity or tension. See see if your exhale can help release that. Maybe you bring just a small amount of focus back to the niyama, shaucha, purity, where we began. Knowing that this physical practice has helped to purify body, breath. Also keeping in mind other ways to maintain a pure mind. Letting your thoughts linger more on those of kindness and compassion, and less on anger or hate.
Take a deep breath in.
Let that breath go. Invite some movement into toes or fingers. Over the next couple breaths, that movement will get a little bit larger. Maybe you reach the arms overhead for a stretch or hug the knees into the chest. Eventually finding your way to one side, pausing here for a breath or two in gratitude towards yourself. Thank yourself for taking this time to connect body, mind, and spirit, to get to know your true self a little better. As you feel ready, press your way back up to sitting. Coming back to any comfortable seated shape. Once arriving there, float the palms together in front of the heart. We'll close our practice with one Om, that universal vibration that exists within all living things. You're welcome to join in with me or just sit, listen, feel the vibration. Taking a cleansing breath first, breathing in together. Let that breath out with a sigh. Breathing in for Om. Thumbs pressing in towards your heart, your center, and then hands float up, thumbs brush the forehead, connecting heart and mind. And so I bow in thanks to you for sharing this practice.